Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and it's time once more for our weekly painting progress. And we're going to start things off with a random Mercs model that has been sitting in front of me, and yeah, he needed to be finished. This is my Cowering Dwight figure. I know, it's one of the office workers from the board game that once upon a time we bought into the hype and ended up with a lot of models that still have yet to see any paint or use. So hopefully we are going to remedy that slowly but surely. Let's see, what other fun things do we have? Another random War Games Atlantic Afghan Warrior. Nicely covered up and with a very quick and shoddy paint job on my part, but he's painted and we'll find a use for him very soon. Let's see what else. Got a lot of printed stuff this week. Let's start off with all the other actual painted physical models that you guys can go out and find. A random Oathsworn Burrows and Badgers bat. Supposed to be a little bit browner than I'd wanted it to be a little bit browner, but kind of fleshy. It's a nice assassin bat. You can see his knife there in his hand. We got a whole lot of Relic Blade stuff done. And I don't know where I put it now. There we go. First off, we've got our questing knight here. Very quick, simple, easy paint job because I wanted to actually get around to trying to play the game. So you can see that there. We got our knight, and to go with him, we've got the thief or the rogue or whatever you want to call them. We've got my personal favorite, the cleric, which I painted very much in shades of Dragon's Bait. For all you obscure Curse the Azure Bond fans out there. God, I remember reading that in like junior high or something. I was so into that. And I had the old SSI game, or whoever made that. I was going to say SST, but that's a record company. The old gold box D&D games, like Pool of Radiance, which I actually beat. That was a tough one. Alright, and believe it or not, we actually do have some Kingdom Death stuff this week. We did paint up the Death High Intimacy couple. Our male, and then we've got the female. And obviously I opted to put them on separate bases, just so that way they can actually end up being used for all sorts of stuff. Her hair looks oranger here on camera than it does in person. It looks a lot more red in person, but I think it works all right. They're done, and who knows what kind of misadventures those plucky young kids are going to get themselves into now. All right, what else we got? Oh, well, to go along with all the other Relic Blade stuff, I forgot the Cleric's hammer that I just threw some contrast on, and that was about it. We got most of the battle pigs done that were included. I think I did 5 of them at this point. I think I have just about every variation. We got dual wielding ones. I went with brackish pigs because they're supposed to have kind of a green skin, and with the orange hair kind of gives them a bit of a Blanca vibe. Axe pig, soldier pig. And there's one more, yeah. A shield pig. I do have 2 shield pigs, I believe, and the other one is waiting to get primed. We'll get to him eventually. So I think that's all the stuff that actually came out of the box. I think the rest is all printed stuff and mostly reject prints, but we'll get to those too. So here is a nice reject print. This is one of the Titan Forge zombies that they had part of their month of vampires. You can see here he's missing his hand, but it's a zombie, so you know it works well for him. His skin came out a lot more purpley than I wanted, but he's dead and rotting, and let's assume it's necrosis. So whatever. I got a couple of models from Ian Lovecraft's Viking Kickstarter where he had a bunch of terrain and figures, and I really like these. They're big. Nice single-piece models. Very Nordic Viking-inspired dwarves. I got a friend of his right here. There's a major print failure on his arm, and I'm not going to point it out, but maybe you can find it. You can see it right there. Never mind. But they're nice. They're big. I mean, they're really big. They're really closer to 32mm models. That's an Oathmark human with them. I mean, if you're going to use one like with GW modern dwarves, I think they'd work really well. Or if you just want to use them as your own thing. Or if you want to scale them down, too. It's one of the Peculiar Companions ones there. We should have a bunch of the humans from that set getting finished up as well. Let's see, some other reject models, not in the sculpting, but in my printing. I got the rest of the Crimson Hunters from Comet Lord Miniatures finished. Told you once upon a time. I think I even did a video on them. There were 4 of them. We got the other 3 finally finished. I think this guy's going to be my favorite of the bunch. With his weird flat hand that I didn't do a good job of printing, and all kinds of scars that I did not do a good job of sanding down. But you know what? Good enough from a distance. I think it'll look okay. I did try to use a bit more reddish colors this time. Playing around with the weird base patterns. And actually, every one of them is completely different in their color schemes. Just because. Just to take more time up. Okay, I really do like those models, and I am going to revisit them once freaking any Cubic gets around to actually repairing my printer, because it's on them at this point. They said they're going to. Alright, what else? I really do like those models, though. Here's a nice failed print from Print Your Monsters. They had a Dark Elf army recently, and you can see there on the shield, it just decided to not even bother printing anymore. And I figured, let's at least do something with it. And then we printed up another of their heroes that went with them. I'm hoping beyond hope. I contacted them and told them they had all sorts of interesting heads, but unfortunately all the parts were locked into the models. Now, yeah, I could sit there and play around with a 3D program and slice everything to pieces and, you know, rearrange them, but it would have been so much cooler if these guys were actually modular. So fingers crossed they end up being modular. Alright, we got another Comet Lord model here. This is one of their, well, it's obviously a Warforged. I don't remember what they're called. But I thought he came out pretty decent. And yet, despite the fact that I've got the printer, I keep on using all the bases. I love proxy model bases. Proxy models make some really nice, solid bases in just about every single size and shape. And then we've got some Raging Heroes Thieves Guild Girls. Went with a very basic paint scheme. That one, and my favorite Black Rose. I believe that's what she's called. So I try to actually use a bit of black in her paint scheme, along with little roses, since she's got them all over her. I dig this model. I think she came out really cool. She's probably my favorite of the bunch, but then again, I do like Big Face, who can't even fit on the screen. Oh, no, go the other way. There we go. Alright, so there's actually more that was about 90% painted, but I figured, you know what, after last week's debacle with getting the sealer to work cooperatively and just crossing my fingers that everything turned out okay this time, thankfully, I figured we're not going to test our luck too much. So we are definitely culling the backlog, but considering the size of my backlog, that's easier said than done. But I'm hoping that I'm going to get a chance to actually play Relic Blade this week. I know my son was interested in giving it a try. Why that versus every other game, I have no idea, but it is what it is. And hopefully I'll have a chance to get some of the other expansion type models finished up soon. So, nice pile of stuff, and hopefully you guys are clearing those backlogs out as well. We'll be back next week doing the exact same thing, and hopefully you guys are going to join us then as well. This has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures. Saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.